more is Trump border czar Tom Homan. I won't give the details. I did run into you accidentally once at a restaurant. And when I start there's my buddy Tom. I started to walk over and an army stood up. And I asked you, I said, is it that bad? And you said it was. And now you've gone public with how bad it is. Tell us.
Yeah, so look, it's a death threats level I've never seen before. It started, right after the RNC. You were there. I gave a speech at the RNC. The death threat started the day after, and I talked about the terrorist organizations are going to be wiped off the face of the earth. Then once President Trump got back in office, I said in March, Sean, back in March, I said if this hateful rhetoric doesn't stop, there's going to be bloodshed. Someone's going to die. I've seen this movie before. I've been doing this for 41 years. It's never been this bad. And of course, the left said I was crazy. But there's already been 3 shootings just in Texas. There's a shooting at a CBP facility trying to kill a Border Patrol agent. He picked the wrong facility. That was a SWAT training facility, and they killed him. Then there was another thing just south of Dallas where they attacked an ICE facility, and an officer got shot in the neck. Now we have another assassination, and where an alien died. And it's just, and I'm telling you, I'll say it again, unless the rhetoric stops, it's not over. And it's scary. I'm afraid for the men and women of ICE every night. Every night I go to bed and I pray for the men and women of Border Patrol and ICE that they go home safe to their families. They're American patriots. They're enforcing the law. And it's just, I've never seen anything like this in my entire career, and that's 41 years.
Welcome in, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me here at Courageous Media. We have another news story to go through with you. Obviously, the ICE shooting in Dallas happened yesterday, but I want to get to J.D. Vance's comments because he goes scorched earth on the Dems, on the libs, on the leftists who are trying to paint this ridiculous picture that somehow this is not their issue, which is absolutely ridiculous. So we're going to get into this ICE shooting in Dallas, which is an absolute tragedy. It is a deranged leftist lunatic who was trying to assassinate ICE officers and accidentally shot illegal alien detainees instead. Still, we have people who have lost their lives, at least one, a couple of people in the hospital. And so we've got another leftist lunatic out there trying to use violence to solve a political argument, which is absolutely egregious and ridiculous. And this is becoming the norm. I mean, we've seen this now over and over again, going back to the shooting of the United CEO by Luigi Mangione about a year ago. Now through to multiple ICE targeted shootings where they tried to shoot the ICE officer in Dallas, hit him in the neck. That shooter died. This shooter here in Dallas again died. You've got raids. You've got riots against ICE officers. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. And it's because of the rhetoric of the left. They continually paint Republicans, conservatives, ICE officers, Trump, the Trump administration, as Hitler, as Nazis, as Gestapo, as secret police, as the Stasi, you name it. They use whatever words they think will be the most incendiary. And then when somebody takes their words to heart, they go, oh, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. Well, check this out. We're going to dive into this ICE shooting. Please let us know you're here. Like, comment, and subscribe. Vec, thanks so much for joining here. You're right. The left, up until this time, the right has done nothing, but I think we're seeing an awakening. All right, let's dive in.
Today at approximately 6:40 a.m., we received assist the officer call. We responded to the call, got to the scene, and we later learned that we had 4 individuals that were shot, 2 of them deceased, including the shooter. The DPD was able to locate the shooter who was deceased. We're going to be working this investigation shoulder to shoulder with our federal partners. The FBI is on scene, and right now I'm going to introduce you to the SAC of the Dallas Field Division, FBI Joe Rumrock.
Yeah, good morning. My name's Joe Rothrock. I'm the special agent in charge of the Dallas FBI Field Office. I want to first start by thanking our partners in local law enforcement, specifically the Dallas Police Department, for their quick and timely response. I can confirm at this time that the FBI is investigating this incident as an act of targeted violence. It is unfortunately just the most recent example we've seen of targeted violence.
It is an act of domestic terrorism. Let's call it what it is. Yes, targeted violence. That's the legalese criminal speak they need to use. But this is an act of leftist domestic terrorism. Nothing short. They are targeting U.S. government officials who are doing nothing more than their job. They are doing what they are told to do. They are enforcing the law as it is written on the books. As Tom Homan has said over and over and over again, we are doing nothing more than enforcing the laws as they are written. People who are here illegally, and they need to be deported. That's easy. It's an easy one for everyone to figure out. Yet you've got domestic terrorists out there they're leftists in the guise of Antifa or BLM or what other, the John Brown group, whatever other group they want to associate with. They are leftist terrorists who are attempting to keep criminals here in the country. They side with the criminals, and the Dem politicians do this all day long. The mainstream Democratic politicians will side with criminal illegal aliens over U.S. citizens every day of the week. Now, it's getting ridiculously egregious. Now, I want to tune in. There's a sheriff from California who had some very pointed things to say, and he's absolutely right about the underlying causes of a lot of this newfound violence that we are seeing all the way from the shooting of the United CEO on through the ICE riots, the ICE shooting in Dallas previously, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, this new shooting. It's getting ridiculous. And Lynn Sanger, hey, really appreciate you rolling up. Thanks so much for being here.
Who continues this. Hello, California. Today I'm in Dallas, Texas with other sheriffs from across the country. We woke up this morning to another politically motivated act of violence. The shooting at an ICE office in Dallas was an act of targeted violence against law enforcement. It didn't happen in a vacuum. For years, the left, including Governor Gavin Newsom and other elected Democrat leaders, have vilified law enforcement, including ICE, demonized conservatives, and fueled an atmosphere of hate toward other people based on political identity. That dishonest, reckless rhetoric, like calling Republicans fascists and a threat to democracy, has clearly put lives at risk. The political violence we've seen over the past 2 weeks must be condemned without exception or excuse. We deserve leaders who will cool the temperature, restore respect for law enforcement, and put public safety ahead of politics. Any elected official not condemning these actions, not calling for an end to this senseless violence, or repeating these ridiculous and slanderous character assassinations is not fit for political office. I'm calling on all Californians to stand against anyone who continues this childish and yet dangerous name-calling. Americans and Californians deserve better.
And just so there's no ambiguity as to exactly who he was talking about and exactly what he was talking about, we've got this. This was just, I believe, 2 days ago from the ultra life loser himself, Gavin Newsom. And he is make no mistake, he is representative of Democrat politicians all across the country. He is in lockstep with people like AOC, with Jasmine Crockett, Ghetto Jasmine Crockett, with Ayanna Pressley, with Ilhan Omar, with Rashida Tlaib. They all parrot the same talking points. Listen to what Gavin Newsom said in advance of the most recent act of targeted violence, domestic terrorism, which has now claimed at least 2 lives, with 2 more hanging in the balance.
That's happening in the United States of America. Masked men jumping out of unmarked cars, people disappearing, no due process, no oversight, zero accountability, happening in the United States of America today. People ask, well, is authoritarianism, you're being hyperbolic? Bull, we're being hyperbolic. If you're a black and brown community, it's here in this country. And so I'm deeply proud that I had the privilege of signing the nation's first bill to address the issue of masking. Also to require, you have simple identification, to your point. I mean, if some guy jumped out of an unmarked car in a van with a mask on, tried to grab me, I mean, by definition, you're going to push back. And so these are not just authoritarian tendencies. These are authoritarian actions by an authoritarian government. You saw what Stephen Miller said last week. This should put chills up fine. Called the Democratic Party an extremist organization, basically a terrorist organization, saying he's going after his enemies. You saw
the Democrat Party is a terrorist organization. It is full of terrorists. It jumps in bed with terrorists. It takes money takes money from and gives money to terrorist groups. They're all in for Tren de Agua. They're all in for MS-13. They're all in for the terrorist groups around the world, for Hamas, for Hezbollah. They're all in for the criminal illegal aliens that have killed 100,000 people a year with fentanyl, that have trafficked over 300,000 children that we still don't know where they're at. They supported, defended, shielded these people now for coming up on 5 years. It's absolutely egregious. And his angry words that they're authoritarian, that they're the Gestapo, that they're disappearing people without due process is utterly fallacious. It is an outright lie. Everybody who gets deported from this country is given due process. Now, that due process may come at an expedited hearing at an immigration court where they're basically given the opportunity, are you a U.S. citizen? No, bye-bye. Thanks for coming. See ya. Oh, you're not? Are you a U.S. citizen? No. Do you have a green card? Do you have permanent residency? Do you have documentation? No, I don't. Okay, bye-bye. That's it. It's all it takes. You are here in the country illegally. You have no right to stay. And yet here's Gavin Newsom calling law enforcement, calling ICE authoritarians, comparing them to the secret police, comparing them to the Gestapo, saying they're disappearing people. It is egregious, it is irresponsible, and it promotes violence. Think I'm wrong? Well, check out JD Vance, because JD Vance has some things to say about it. And that was just basically 2 days prior to the most recent ICE where this gentleman attempted to assassinate ICE officers and ended up hitting 4 illegal detainees in the process. Still committed murder, still targeted violence, still domestic terrorism, no matter which way you cut it. Here's JD Vance. And this goes right back to what you were saying, Vec, because the right never does anything. I believe the right, and especially Republican politicians, are starting to wake up and smell the coffee. And that's what I hear from JD Vance. Here we go.
And they said that immigration enforcement, you know what they said? That immigration enforcement had detained a 5-year-old autistic girl in order to get to that girl's father. Turned out that story was a complete fabrication. It was a complete dishonest lie. But when you go around and lie about our law enforcement and you tell them that they're mistreating 5-year-old girls, what do you think is going to happen? When Democratic politicians incur doxing, when they encourage us to unmask ICE enforcement officers, what do you think is going to happen? When the mayor of Los Angeles encourages violent protesters to get in the face of our law enforcement, what do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen is political violence, and political violence has gotten out of control in this country. We got to stop it. We got to condemn it. And that starts, unfortunately, at the very top of the Democratic Party. If you want to stop political violence, stop attacking our law enforcement as the Gestapo. If you want to stop political violence, stop telling your supporters that everybody who disagrees with you is a Nazi. If you want to stop political violence, look in the mirror. That's the way that we stop political violence in this country, and we've got to do it. And while we're all mourning and rooting for and praying for everybody who was injured at that ICE facility, and as far as we know, it looks like some of the detainees, in other words, some of the potential illegal aliens, were some of those who were affected. Look, Just because we don't support illegal aliens, we don't want them to be executed by violent assassins engaged in political violence either. So we're praying both for our ICE agents, but also for everybody who's affected by this terrible attack. But that was an ICE facility. And as these guys behind me know, and a few of our police officers know, police officers writ large face too many threats.
Exactly. As Tom Homan said, they routinely face death threats after death threat after death threat. Tom Homan can't even live with his wife. We learned that from a different clip in a video we did a month ago. He can't even go on dates or live with his wife. They live in separate houses because of the danger to her, because of him, because of the Democrat extremists. The Democrat Party is essentially a domestic terror group now. It's absolutely unreal. Now, just so we can put to bed any of this gaslighting nonsense that you see on some of the propaganda media that, oh, well, we don't know what his motivation was. They haven't come outright and said that he's a MAGA supporter, although there have been a couple. I believe MSDNC, BS Now tried to allude to the fact, well, he shot illegal alien detainees. He must be a MAGA supporter. Wrong. So here we have Kash Patel basically relaying the evidence right here. We know that the perp downloaded a document called Dallas County Office of Homeland Security Emergency Management. It contains a list of DHS facilities. He conducted multiple searches of ballistics and the Charlie Kirk video. He searched apps that track the presence of ICE agents. One of the handwritten note read, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror. That's there. That's all you need to know right there. This man was a terrorist. The shooter, who is now deceased, was a terrorist. And he was spun up and let go and pushed forward by the terrorists of the Democrat Party, the Gavin Newsoms, the Ayanna Presleys, the Jasmine Crockett's, all of the above, who continually say that Republicans are Nazis, Trump is Hitler, ICE are the Gestapo. That's what we hear every single day. And that's what these mentally deranged people, these young people who, may be on drugs, may not, who knows, they are mentally deranged if they're going to go do violence. But that's what they hear. They hear this rhetoric and then they go act on it. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, just to let you know that this is still ongoing. We've got Andrew Colvett, who is part of Turning Point USA. He posted this. This is being posted at Georgetown. They're taking the scrawl from the bullets in the Charlie Kirk assassination, and they're using it for recruitment. A far left group. This is what they're doing. The John Brown Club, ultra left-wing violent group now. This is what they're posting. It's unreal. Finally, I'm going to cover this because I thought this was very interesting. He also did a video on this, so you can go check out the video. Nick Freitas is a Virginia delegate. He also has a YouTube channel, but he's a state delegate to the Virginia legislature. And he posted this, and I thought it's really long. We probably won't read the whole thing. I did want to cover a snippet though. And so he's relaying a conversation I believe he had with this guy, Don, who is the Speaker of the House, the Virginia legislature, and an ultra left-wing Democrat, one of these, veiled Democrat terrorists. Here we go. I am told that as a state representative, this is the moment where I'm supposed to express my heartfelt condolences and stand in solidarity with those on the other side as we condemn political violence and stand as a unified people. If only we could. Now, he has some very interesting things to say, but we aren't one people, are we? The truth is, we haven't been for some time now, and there really is no point in pretending anymore, if there ever was. We are two very different peoples. We may occupy the same piece of geography, but that is where the similarities seem to abruptly end. I convinced myself for a long time that whenever the left called me a racist, a bigot, a sexist, a fascist, a threat to democracy, a Nazi, the Gestapo, you name it, authoritarian, for even the most innocent of disagreements, that was simply hyperbolic rhetoric. And now the effect is a widow and two orphan children talking about Charlie Kirk, because the left couldn't bear the thought of a peaceful man debating them and winning. I don't think they realize it yet, but murdering Charlie Kirk is going to be remembered as the day when we finally woke up to what has really been going on. It is not a civil dispute among fellow countrymen. It's a war between diametrically opposed worldviews which cannot peacefully coexist. These are the same Democrats who trash the Constitution. They don't want a Constitution. They want a Constitution that is ultimately more malleable and amorphous, like a blob. They want the Constitution to say what they want it to say when they want to say it, and they want to be able to change that in a week. They don't want separation of powers. They don't want Congress to be limited in its power and the judiciary to be limited in its power under the Constitution. They don't want the Bill of Rights. They want to censor your speech. They want to determine what is truth, what isn't, what is hate speech, what isn't, and censor everything that doesn't fit their narrative. They want to take away your guns. They want to rid you of your Second Amendment rights. So this is the diametrically opposed worldview. This is the same worldview that wants to murder children in the womb by the millions. They want to chemically castrate little boys and gender mutilate little girls in the name of gender affirming care. This is not normal stuff. Okay? So that's when Eric Freitas says this is not a civil dispute, this is diametrically opposed worldviews, which at this point cannot seem to peacefully coexist with each other. Is he right? Let me know in the comments. I think he's got a lot of it right. Can we come back from the brink? Is there hope? Let's hope so. I believe the biggest hope, well, it's the one hope that this country really needs, and that's Jesus Christ. If we go back to John Adams and the founders, I believe it was either Adams or Jefferson that wrote, "What we have delivered is a government that is solely for a holy, moral, and religious people. The Constitution is utterly inadequate for the government of any other. The Constitution, the separation of powers, the idea of self-governance presupposed a people that were holy, moral, and religious, Christian, Jew, Judeo-Christian, you name it, that would act in a morally upright and act with integrity in office. When you fill the offices of the United States with all of the checks and balances in the Constitution, with people who have no moral center, who have no thought of trampling on the Constitution and the separation of powers, you get the kind of government we've had for the last 20 years. And so it's time for every American to stand up and do what Charlie did, to engage the other side peacefully in debate. And if there are 10,000 Charlie Kirks out there talking to people, convincing them of the other side of the argument, we can actually swing this thing, because right now the Dems are getting obliterated in voter turnout. They're getting obliterated in voter registration. You've got New Jersey potentially shifting red, actually electing a Republican governor. You've got the governor's race in Virginia looking very much like it could go Republican. These things are monumental shifts, and they're shifts because Charlie Kirk and other people like him have gotten out there and engaged the other side in debate and argument and free discussion, and he did it in front of everybody, and he did it effectively, and he introduced them not just to a political viewpoint, but to God, to Jesus Christ. And that's what his true power was. I believe that's why he was assassinated, because there's lots of political pundits out there that have the same views as Charlie Kirk, but they didn't have the same theology, and they didn't have the same dedication to preaching the gospel. And that's why Charlie Kirk was so effective. And that's why I believe he had to be taken out. But we can all stand up in his place. Let's do it. Let's make an absolute dent in this. Let's create a red wave tsunami that is fueled by people's conversion to and love for Jesus Christ. Let's make it happen. Really appreciate what everybody rolling up. Please let me know what you think in the comments. They want DJT gone. Then what? Absolutely. They're going to get JD Vance, or they're going to get Marco Rubio. Those two are the front runners right now for the 28 election. And if things keep going the way they're going, the Dems are leaderless, rudderless, platformless, visionless. they're going to get trounced. They're going to get trounced in 26, I believe. I think they're going to certainly get trounced in 28 because the Republicans are going to trot out. They're going to do a primary, but that primary is essentially going to come down to Vance versus Rubio. I don't even think DeSantis is going to be a player in that. Although he's the best governor in the country by far, bar none. DeSantis is the best governor in the country. He has run Florida like a well-oiled machine now. They took it from purple to blood red, where it is 20% plus Republican. Trump won that thing going away by almost 16 points, I think, where it used to be a swing state, not anymore. Now, I believe we're going to see in the next 2 election cycles, the swing states won't even be necessarily Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Minnesota probably will still be a swing state. I think the swing states might be Virginia, New Jersey. It could get real ugly for the Democrats. Let me know what you think in the comments. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. Remember that God is good and he is sovereign. It'll all be good in the end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. If you're willing, please join us as a member on YouTube. We'd love to have you. Click that link. Join now. And also, please share Courageous Media with everybody that you know. Thanks so much. Have a great afternoon.